I think it's important for companies to be empathetic and not just hard-nosed.
We were forced to get more creative, but at the same time, a little lazy kicked in.
Did.
I mean, how many interviews did we see on Zoom?
Oh, my gosh.
Where people would be in a business suit and tie, they stand up and they're in their boxer briefs. And I'm like,
you have to remember there's a human side to it.
it's not just having to acclimate to coming back to the office. It's having to figure out how to interact with other people.
I work with a lot of, young adults. A lot of those people were in college and their first jobs were all virtual. They had never been in the office ever. Companies have to deal with those people.
Yeah.
That's stressful. So that's where the training really is effective, because it not only trains the workers,
it trains the staff.
With interactive activities.
Yeah. Yes.
It trains also the employers.
Yeah.
We are able to get that out there because I think it's going to make a difference.
I do too.
Hey there, welcome to the Mental Perk podcast. I'm Karla Hutcherson, licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Brandi, entrepreneur, author, and community leader. And we're here to talk about
real people, real issues, and real talk.
Welcome back to Mental Perk.
It's Brandi and I again, just the two of us. Your dynamic duo.
It is. We are pretty dynamic.
We are. We kind of feed off of each other.
I'm going to lower this so I can see your beautiful face.
Super fun thing that happened today is we were invited to be on Channel 8, Good Morning Texas. So we just got off of the set of Good Morning Texas in downtown Dallas. What a fabulous show.
Yes.
I can't tell you, Karla, the producer, amazing, and Erin, the interviewer, she is adorable.
Yes.
Is she not the cutest thing ever?
I love her outfit. Love her outfit.
And Karla just makes you feel so comfortable and just relaxed when you're in
Karla's
the studio.
Good. Yeah, so she knows her job.
She knows it, and she knows it well.
And she knows how to put people where they need to be to look good.
Yes.
She did a good job.
We had so much fun over at Channel 8 today, and we are so excited that we were able to showcase Mental Perk and what we do here.
Yeah.
So, but we also kind of just want to talk about some kind of trends that are going on right now. What we have really experienced and that we are actually taking very serious is the return to work stress.
I know. It's funny because we've been back in the game for a minute.
Yeah.
And now people are being ordered to go back to work full time.
For 5 or 6 years, people have been either working from home, hybrid working, where they might come in a day or two of the week and work from home the rest of the time. And people got really comfortable in that environment.
They did. And, the interesting thing about this, Karla, is the business I was in, you could do either or because you never met your clients. You're always on the phone with them. So, theoretically, I could have had my staff work from home all the time, but the control freak in me
made them come in.
I made them come in.
She's a control freak.
I am a control freak.
It's okay.
But people that work from home, it takes discipline. I mean,
it is a
lot of discipline. And you can get really off track really quick if you're not. And then
I think
also,
that's
too,
true. There's
it's
lots of
lonely when you're not
distractions.
around people and you're interacting with people. And so there's pros and cons to it. The pros are, I think sometimes you can be more productive if you're home and not having to, because you know what your job entitles. You can get it done within a certain time period, whatever. But I think you need to be back in the social setting. Plus, as an owner of a company, I wanted to make sure my team was working.
Yeah. Not only do you want to make sure that you're working, but there's a connection when you work with each other side by side or you attend meetings together. And I know people were attending meetings by Zoom and all these other, applications where you can join together. I don't think it's the same when you're looking at a screen as when you're actually in person.
It's not the same, but also, too, if you've got, like, one person that's taking a call, the other person's handling the sale, the other person's handling, transport, which was the industry I was in, you kind of like to watch everything fold out in front of you and not have to pick up the phone and go, hey, did we do this? Hey, did we do that? That kind of thing. So, yeah, it's time to get back.
I think it is, but I do understand it's hard. My husband, he worked remotely most of the time during the pandemic. I would say most of that time he was working remote, and even after the pandemic was over, he was still kind of that way.
Yeah.
But he was really disciplined. The other thing was he was in meetings one after the other every single.
So you kind of lost track of
the day.
Yeah.
He never got distracted.
Yeah.
Like he never walked away from his desk because he was just in meetings. But I don't know that that's
not
the
every
true.
job. Absolutely
that's
not.
not true every job. But I think in situations like that, people were really productive.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't going to the coffee machine and doing all this. They were just kind of following through and, one after the other meeting. So I feel like it's not it's not a terrible idea. And I understand people that really got connected to working like that. And even during the pandemic, they made moves to other places because their office might be based here in Dallas, but they were like, hey, I can move to out by the lake, or I can move here. I can move to a more remote area.
We were forced to get more creative, but at the same time, a little lazy kicked in too.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, how many interviews did we see on Zoom?
Oh my gosh.
Where people would be in a business suit and tie, they stand up and they're in their boxer briefs. And I'm like,
I mean, it happened. It was a real thing.
It did. It was funny, but yeah.
But I was thinking about these people who like set up their lives somewhere else thinking that this was going to be a thing.
The norm.
And now they're being called back to work and they have to relocate or they lose their job.
I mean,
it's a pretty
big
deal.
It is what it is, though. I mean, you got to get in there. I mean, you didn't start out at home.
Right.
You're not going to finish at home, so get back to work.
Yeah. It's hard. And I think, I feel like that we have to really be empathetic to the situation people are in because it is a change. When you've been doing it for 5 years.
Yeah. Childcare changes.
School.
And it's not just the person being affected, it's the whole family. So like you just said,
exactly.
I just said childcare. I'm like,
it's huge.
You're easily available for your kids, food, homework, all that good stuff.
And maybe you design your work day around taking your kids to school or picking them up, right? And so now you're like, what am I going to do?
Not anymore.
Yeah. And so I feel like there's been a lot of, from what I've seen in the news, just the stress that's going along with this order back to work. And I think some companies are really doing a good job of, okay, let's start with 1 or 2 days
on,
back.
2 days off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I even think that's a good structure.
I don't think it's a bad structure.
I don't at all.
And even before the pandemic, I think some companies were going to things like that, or they were going to 4-day work weeks, things like that, to give people a little more life balance. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, those things are good for employers and companies to think about, especially as you're looking at, how this is going to affect people. I think it's important for companies to be empathetic and not just hard-nosed. And I know you as a company owner, you're trying to see the bottom line of the company. That is the survival, not only for yourself, but you're the survival for your workers. Yeah. Right. And so you're looking at the big picture and the bottom line. Yeah. And I think that's why you can kind of go through of saying, well, it is what it is and we got to do it, because you're trying to think of what's best for the company because it keeps people's lifelines. Yeah.
Right? I was fortunate. I had an amazing staff. I mean, my staff was awesome. And so I think that made things better. But I was kind of one of those too, though, that even before the pandemic hit, if we needed to work from home, we could. Mm-hmm. So, I wasn't like in the banking industry.
If somebody had an issue,
you had to be a teller, you had to be there all the time, whatever. But at the same time, I think, from a business perspective, from an owner's perspective, you like to see that you're getting your full money's worth out of each employee. Today's episode is sponsored by Hudson Financial Group. At Hudson Financial Group, their goal is to make sure your life is fully covered. Do you truly understand your current insurance coverages? Are you protected for the things you need and not paying for the things you don't? Come by and let them help maximize and understand your coverage. With access to multiple carriers, they'll find the best protection at your best price for you. Whether it's home, auto, farm, and ranch commercial coverages, bonds, life insurance, or financial planning, Hudson Financial Group is your one-stop shop for insurance and retirement needs. Stop by today.
Yeah, and my sister is a business owner, and she's had employees for many, many years, as well as my parents. But she's taught me a couple of things because I get a limited perspective. I think, why are you being so hard on this or that? But she's like, if my business fails, these people don't get paid.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. I can't pay your bills.
I push my people to do their best and to show up because when they do those things, we're more successful, which means they're going to continue to have that income. So, I try to see things from that perspective. But the therapist in me also wants to say, but that's also a big adjustment.
And you got more gas price. I mean, it figures in. So you think about people staying at home, your grocery bills will probably be higher because you're eating home more. But then if you're out more, you're eating out more. So, but you're saving gas money. So it's like the yin and yang. It's kind of so
it's a hard balance. Well, we kind of. As we were watching the news, and I think what really highlighted this to me is when the government jobs, the Doge came in, and they really made just tons of cuts.
Hardline, yep.
Yeah, hardline. And they didn't factor in performance. They didn't really, I think they thought they might be doing that, but I think they went along just some hard lines. Like anyone who's been here less than a year, you're cut. Anyone who's been, whatever, I don't know exactly. If you can't make it into the office, 3 days a week, you're cut.
Sometimes
or 5 days a week.
Fresh talent's the best talent,
yes.
right?
Well, some in I would say from personal experience, just being recruited in from a job that you were doing really well at, and you just got recruited in to help clean up a mess or something, and then you got cut.
And then bam, you're gone.
You're cut, yeah. So it's just those things happen so quickly, and I think that while the idea of really working the budget and the government was important to a lot of people, right? I think as taxpayers, it's important to everybody. You have to remember there's a human side to it.
There is. And, I think also, too, which let's go into, talk about, we've created a curriculum that we're going to be promoting online.
Yes.
That companies can take the course online for their employees. But the cool thing about it is it actually walks them through, because it's not just having to acclimate to coming back to the office. It's having to figure out how to interact with other people.
That's hard. And I see it's not just even in the workplace. Everywhere you go, it's so different of how people interact with each other after being out for 5 years. I mean, you go in, just service is different in a restaurant or in a store. You see, or people driving, it's different.
It is.
Everything is different because people forgot how to relate to each other and really connect.
Yeah.
So when we saw all this going on with the news and with the government and all those things that went on, what we thought was we need to handle this. This is a big mental health crisis.
It is.
I mean, people are actually, their anxiety levels have gone up so much regarding this because their whole world is kind of turned upside down. So we wanted to kind of create a training. Another thing that I was pointing out, and I'm going to get back to that point, but I work with a lot of, young adults, 20s and early 30s. A lot of those people were in college and their first jobs were all virtual. They had never been in the office ever.
I didn't think about that too. That has got to be
They
hot
don't
mess
even
for them.
know what the office is like,
Yeah.
right? And so now they're being told they have to come into the office.
They're meeting people face to face that they've been chatting with online
for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that,
Maybe
actually.
if they've not even met their boss in person ever.
Yeah.
That's stressful.
It is stressful.
And so
I'm stressed out thinking about it.
That's where this training was so important, because we felt like we need to handle this mental health crisis, because I could see you're going to see some trends.
You are.
You're going to see some trends. I think you're going to see trends in anxiety and trends in people getting help for that, which I hope they do. But also you're going to see trends in the way companies have to deal with those people.
Yeah.
So that's where the training really is effective, because it not only trains the workers,
it trains the staff.
With interactive activities.
Yeah. Yes.
It trains also the employers.
Yeah.
So we have a whole section on training
HR
employers.
department, we got you.
We
Employees,
got you.
we got you. You know.
So we just did all the recordings for
did.
this. We just did all the narrative.
A lot of
for
talking.
It. Hours and hours of talking.
Hours of talking.
But it's broken into really simple segments with really interactive but simple activities.
Yeah, you don't have to overthink it. It's actually fun.
It is fun. It is fun. So we're hoping that we are able to get that out there, because I think it's going to make a difference.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
Our goal is
to make a difference, make it easier for the employer and the employee.
Yeah. There's a lot of just learning how to communicate again,
There is.
learning how to listen again, learning to have empathy for others,
Yes.
which is something we definitely have lost.
Yeah, we have.
So that's something that is huge for me, because you have to put yourself in someone else's shoes, right?
You do. And I think not that any of this was a good thing. COVID really just forced us.
It did teach us some things.
It forced us to learn so much, right? It's not something we wanted to do. It was like we were forced into it. So the good thing about this is there's not an isolated individual group out there that's having to reacclimate to going back to. It's the whole world having to reacclimate to going back to work.
100%.
It's the whole world. It's not like it's
It's not. I mean, unless you just work for yourself and you ran your business the whole time.
And you're doing the same thing you did before.
Yeah, but your employees are coming back.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I think it's way more global than we think it is.
Oh, it's definitely global. And you think about it. You don't use it, you lose it. Mm-hmm. That mentality. I really think that's true with going back and interacting with people. And,
it's
and gaining back your professional social skills, right? I think, when you're able to sit behind a closed door where people don't see you, they just hear your voice.
Yeah.
You don't have to be as professional.
Right.
You're professionally audibly.
Yes.
But you're not physically. And so, you're having to do both back now.
Now you got to present yourself as a
You got to
professional.
present yourself. Show up and present.
Yeah, got to put some pants on.
Got to put some pants on, please.
I mean, think about all the people that didn't have their pants on all during the COVID.
It's actually really funny, but at the same time. And then all the, the kids that would run in on interviews.
Oh, all the time. Or the dogs barking.
The dogs barking.
Oh, no.
Or the door slamming.
Yes, yeah.
Or the
So
phone,
much.
something's
If
going on.
People just got accustomed to those kind of,
yeah.
Disturbances.
Yeah.
And now you're going to get back to the office and there's no room for that.
You did get to see some things you probably wouldn't have known about your coworker. But it's time to get back to the office, right?
Yeah.
And so this course is what we wanted to tell y'all about. We are probably going to be dropping in the next probably month. And it'll be something easy you can register for, go online and take it. You can take it as an individual. You can take it as a group. But it's something that's needed because we've got to get back into life again.
Yeah. And you think that, it's just going back to work. It's just, talking to people. No, it's harder than you think.
That. It's learning how to communicate.
Yes.
Learning how to handle work stress.
Yes.
Learning how to critique or be critiqued in a way that's, not offensive.
And I think that people, when they were working from home, they did everything more individualized.
Yes.
Everything was, they took on tasks as an individual.
Yeah.
Now when you go back to the office, you have to actually incorporate other people's ideas. You have to actually engage with them to get problem solved rather than figuring it out on your own.
And that's where our group activities come in,
Yes.
to where they can actually go through and role play those different things and figure out what works best and understand each other, right?
Yeah. As you were talking, and I saw your little entrepreneur, businesswoman side come out, and you're like, well, I just need to pretty much suck it up and get back to work, right?
Back.
But that's where our employer leader training comes in, because yes, those things are true. But if you really want a successful relationship with your team and your employees, and you want them to stay at your company so that you don't have this large turnover, you have to approach it differently. And so we teach them how to kind of approach it in a different way while still looking out for the best interest of the company.
Well, good for my team. We're not open anymore. So
you don't have to put up with Brandi.
No, you don't.
But you know what? If you did, I would train her. So anyway, but yeah, we just really have to focus on, how do we keep people in their jobs so that they don't get so exasperated that they quit, right? Yeah. So that's kind of one of those things. But we wanted to make sure that we are incorporating a whole segment on just approaching things with a different empathetic response.
And it makes it's seek to understand, seek to be understood. I think you'll learn a lot about your team. I think you'll learn a lot about your employer. I think you'll learn a lot about each other, to where, you may have new relationships open up from this.
Yeah.
And be more productive.
And not every experience is going to be good.
I've worked and this video will show you how to get through that.
Yeah, exactly. I've worked in places where I had great teams. We were so close, best of friends. And then I've had situations where, it was all I could do to get through the workday.
I know.
Right? But you have to figure out how to have some distress tolerance with that. You have to be able to regulate through that because, in the end, you have to think about yourself.
Yes.
You have to think about your family, and you can't just, the moment you get distressed, walk away. Yeah. You have to fight through stuff and figure out how to work through it.
At the end of the day, that's just life in general.
Yeah,
you're going to be surrounded around people your entire life that you don't necessarily get along with, that you don't like. You guys don't see eye to eye, and you got to figure out how to get through it.
I agree.
No different in a workspace.
100%.
But it is a little harder because you have to be with them every day. But, usually in those other social settings, you can remove yourself. But knowing I got to go back to work with this person again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a lot going on. We totally want to validate the stress that's going on out there. We understand that there's some big changes happening. Change is hard, no matter what's happening.
If it's good or bad, it's
change
different.
Is hard.
Change. It's change.
And so just being able to adapt to those changes, but find someone to talk to. I mean, there's counselors, life coaches, people who help with that.
Mentors in your office that.
We would love for HR departments to get trained in how to really help to manage this transition.
Call us, HR. Call us.
Yes, 100%. Because I feel like if they had those skills, that they could really help the transition be a lot smoother.
Well, and people don't give HR departments enough credit.
Yeah, they have
They
so much
actually
going
are
on.
beasts. They are
have
like
so much going on.
I mean, I often wonder, like, how do they maintain their stress?
It's
Because they're
hard.
dealing with a lot of. Usually, HR is not for good things.
Yeah, right. They're trying to deal with the problems, right?
They're problem solvers,
But
right?
they also get to promote people.
They do.
get to offer new people jobs who are excited.
They do,
you
but
know?
that's like calling a company and saying, "Hey, I need to talk to the manager," and instantly they think it's going to be this person. And when they get that one phone call, it's like, "Hey, I just want you to know that your
So-and-so
teammate did an awesome job."
Yes.
That's minimal those guys get, right?
Yeah, true.
So,
Most
the
of it's
HR
the
departments
problems.
have to deal with a lot.
Yeah.
And
100%.
we are very thankful for you guys in HR. For
Yeah,
sure.
and we want to support, and we offer that to companies.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that we do is we customize our trainings to your company. Like, we don't just have like one template. So
Make it boring.
You know, whatever problems the company is having, you come to us. We talk to you about what you're wanting to really accomplish, and we design it to that.
Yep.
So I think that's a neat part of what Mental Perk does is we really make it about your specific company.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing too. We're so much more than a podcast.
Yes.
It's all things mental health.
Yes.
And, mental health affects every walk of life and everything you do.
It does.
I mean, driving down the road, you could have a breakdown.
You know, anyone I talk to and they think, oh, well, I don't have mental health issues, and I'll start asking questions. What's in their family? There's somewhere, or a friend, or it's still connected in their life in some way, right?
Or it's as minor as, because when they say mental health, they think it's like this catastrophic,
yes,
big ordeal that caused.
They see what they see on TV.
But they don't realize,
yeah.
Are you stressed driving to work in traffic every day?
That's mental health.
That's mental health. Like,
are you grumpy when you get up in the morning?
Mental health. Did you wake up happy? It's mental health. I mean,
right. How did you work through that problem and maintain your cool? Mental health. Yeah. So it affects everything. It doesn't have to be chronic diagnosis of some sort or something that's very symptomatic. It can be very small symptoms. It can be the little things. People may not even know they have anxiety, and then they'll think, you talk to them and you start asking questions, and you're like, oh, well, those are symptoms of anxiety.
How many times have you had a conversation with me and you're like, Brandi, that's a trigger, and I'm like, yeah, it is actually. It sure is, right?
So it's just being aware of those things and being able to, recognize them in other people and be kinder about it and more normalizing.
Team build. Yeah. Let's build these guys up.
We're all different. We all handle things different. Yeah.
Well, and you also, too, though, going back to work, you're like I said, you may learn something about someone that you didn't like on the phone or on the computer. You get them in person and you're learning someone that's like your bestie. You're hanging out with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, I didn't like you when I first met you.
You loved me, Brandi. 100%. 100% loved me. How could you not?
How can you not love this girl?
I can really get under your skin, though, if I wanted to.
I could do yours, too.
So, we're talking about our trainings, and I don't feel like we really promote them enough.
We don't.
Because I feel like they can be so beneficial. But we're also doing this live show coming up.
We are doing live
September 4th. One step closer to a talk show for Karla and Brandi. We really want to be more interactive with our viewers and with our audience. And I feel like there's not enough just normalizing talk about mental health, and that's what we want to do.
No, and it's like this. The conversations we have, it's funny, we tell our guests, like, hey, just come on the show. It's not scripted. People ask us all the time if we're scripted.
Okay, yeah.
I couldn't operate on a script.
No, I'm not good at that.
Like, today we have. So it's real laid back, and I think that's what's so cool about it. And, Karla's talking about going back to workplace, tailoring our courses towards, things. We do courses tailored to PTSD, to traumatic brain injury, to depression, to bullying, to
suicide awareness,
and
prevention. All of those things, but it's or if it's just something that's going on, if you have a lot of gossip going on in your workplace and you want to minimize that, or you have people who are the stress of certain jobs. There's certain jobs out there that just are high stress, and people are switching jobs a lot because of that, right?
My job
they don't
was
last
so
even through the
stressful.
year.
Yeah.
Right? Because of the high stress and demands of that particular position. So those are things we can also help tailor to, to really help people learn how to manage that a little better, learn how to talk about it a little better, learn how to ask for help.
Learn not to take it so personal.
Yes, learn not to take it so personal.
I can't tell you how many times I tell my team, look, these people are this way because they're that way.
Yes.
Don't let them bleed out to you because,
right.
you know, it does. It can ruin your day when someone's talking to you
it can.
in a way that's negative, right?
Yeah.
But we teach you how to process that.
Yeah.
How to not let it get under your skin.
Yeah, and the other thing we are working on our professional speaker roles as well. So in addition to doing a training, but we just come in and do talks with people and really help people focus more on mental health and give them some, you know, maybe you don't want a whole course, but maybe you just want to, you know, or you're having a special event and you want to have someone come and just talk about, you know, mental health and dealing with it, normalizing
Let's normalize it.
Yeah, let's laugh a little bit.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of tears that are associated with mental health, but there's a lot of laughter.
Joy.
Learning to laugh at yourself is one of the healthiest things you can do.
And that's
really
mental
is.
health.
Yes. 100%.
Right? It's like, I wish people understood that it's not just all the bad things.
No, not at all. And so that's what we want to highlight is, I can deal with this problem. And this is really weird, or I have this really weird thing that I do, but isn't that funny? So, you know, just being able to find light in a dark situation.
So with that, keep a lookout on our website, mentalperk.org, for that course that you can sign up for. Mm-hmm. If you guys want to hire us to come speak on any subject, any topic, again, we can tailor it towards your needs.
Yes.
But we want to be out there. We want to be walking you through your journey each day and helping you navigate anything that you may be dealing with mental health-wise.
Our mission here is more effective when we are interacting one-on-one with you guys. It really helps us to get to know people, you know, in
we're
different
social
walks
bugs.
of life.
We like to be out there helping people.
We're going to make friends with anybody.
Yeah.
We
I can talk to a wall.
She has. I have seen it.
I have.
But it's part of what makes Mental Perk special, I think, is making those connections. And we love to make those connections. So that's really important to us. Big stuff coming up. We have more events coming up, too, that we'll be telling you guys more about, where we are going to be in the trenches with you doing some things. It's going to be super fun.
Yes.
So as always, reach out to us on our website. Send us your questions. Anything that you would love to see us cover on our podcast. We would love to hear just some different ideas. Or if you have a great story, reach out, tell us.
Yes.
We'll contact you, walk you through it, and see, you know, if it's a good fit for you to come on our show. We would love to have you.
Yes, we would.
All right. As always, we want you to remember,
you're worthy. We're in this together.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please reach out to talk to someone you trust. Get connected to a mental health professional who can help you find ways to cope and ultimately feel better. If you are having suicidal or self-harm thoughts or thoughts of hurting another person, please go to the nearest ER, call 911, or contact the National Suicide Hotline at 988. Thank you for tuning in to Mental Perk. We hope our talk today highlighted real people working through real issues based on mental health. Our goal at Mental Perk is to make sure every one of you knows you're worthy. We're in this together.